Theresa May's ill-starred premiership is drawing to a close. If she gets her unloved deal through Parliament, she'll be gone within weeks. But even if she doesn't get it through Parliament, the odds are she'll be gone at a roughly similar timetable. There's no doubt that Mrs May inherited a very, very weak hand and the near impossible task of taking Brexit through Parliament. But even so, most people would say she's played her weak hand very badly. Is Mrs May a bad Prime Minister or just a very unlucky one? The answer is probably both. Although the task in front of her was near impossible, she made a lot of mistakes that made it even harder. Her first mistake was setting out red lines which were not only incompatible with each other, but made it extremely hard to get an attractive economic deal for Britain in the negotiations with the European Union. Her second mistake was triggering Article 50 before the government had a position that it wanted to take. In fairness to her, almost the entire political community was saying she ought to do it, and she was under enormous pressure from the EU to do so as well. But with hindsight, it doesn't look like a clever move to start your negotiations before you have a plan of what you're trying to negotiate. The biggest mistake, however, was a political one, and it came with her calling of the general election in 2017. She lost her majority, she lost all her authority. In normal times, she would probably have been gone as Prime Minister within a few weeks, but these weren't normal times. Nobody knew who was going to replace her, and everyone was frightened of the alternatives. The consequence was that over time, with a weak negotiating hand, she crafted a Brexit deal which satisfied nobody. Politics has become so polarised that neither side seemed able to accept a middle ground, and the Prime Minister was never able to build a consensus around her deal.
2 years on, MPs have been unable to agree on a way to implement the UK's withdrawal. As a result, we will now not leave on time with a deal on the 29th of March. This delay is a matter of great personal regret for me.
History is not likely to be kind to Mrs May, almost regardless of what happens next. She has one last shot at her deal. If she is able to get it through, history will probably judge her as a poor Prime Minister in very difficult circumstances, but who doggedly stuck at it to do what she felt was best for Britain. Her record's never going to look stellar, but she could emerge with some credit and some dignity. If she fails to get her deal through, then she will have failed utterly. And when we assess the Prime Ministers of the last 100 years, she's going to stand very, very near the bottom.